One evening, Wendy went to the fair with her friends. Her friends were enjoying the high dive ride while Wendy was clicking pictures of different spots for a magazine. The crowd, the colorful lights, the kids laughing, every moment felt like a story. In between, she clicked a photo of the high dive ride, but when she zoomed in on the camera screen, her heart skipped a beat. The signboard said high dive, but the light on the letter V was off, so it read as die. Wendy quickly looked up. Everything looked normal up there. The V light was glowing just fine, but she felt this strange uneasiness, like it was a sign she couldn't figure out. Wendy's sister Julie was also at the fair, and they didn't get along at all. A few minutes later, Wendy's boyfriend Jason and the rest of her friends, Kevin and Carrie, came back from the high dive ride. Now they were headed to the next ride, a wild roller coaster, and Kevin and his girlfriend Carrie were super hyped about it. Close by, two pretty girls named Stacy and Ashley were hanging out too, followed by a guy named Frankie, a crazy photographer. He was so obsessed with the girls that he always wanted to keep something related to them. That's why he had a custom metal locket made, which hung on his chain all the time. Stacy and Ashley noticed his creepy behavior and started avoiding him. Still, he followed them all the way to the roller coaster line. The entrance of this ride was through a huge devil statue. Right inside, there was a signboard that read, "Once you're in, there's no way out. I'll see you real soon." Off to the side, a pipe was shaking hard, and its bolts looked like they were coming loose. Wendy found all of this super weird. When it was time to get on the roller coaster, she got scared and insisted on sitting in the back seat. Kevin said Carrie could sit in the back with her, but Carrie didn't want to ruin her fun just because of Wendy, and nobody else wanted to sit back either. So they flipped a coin to decide who would sit with Wendy. Kevin lost the toss to Jason, which meant he had to sit in the back with Wendy. As soon as Kevin sat in his seat, he saw someone had stuck chewing gum right in front of him, and now it was all over his hands. He angrily shook it off, and just then, a worker noticed Wendy still holding her camera. The worker immediately called out, "No cameras allowed on the ride!" Kevin quickly grabbed the camera and stuffed it into his pocket. He was still trying to handle everything when Frankie quietly hid his own camera too. He was just waiting for a chance to snap some pics of Stacy and Ashley sitting in front of him. Just then, a guy named Lewis sitting ahead started complaining about his seatbelt. It wasn't locking properly. Somehow one of the crew members got it fixed. Then as soon as the ride started, oil began leaking from one of the machine's pipes. But sadly, no one noticed. In seconds, the ride picked up speed, wind smashing against faces, people screaming and laughing. There was energy and thrill all around. Everyone was having a blast. During all this, Frankie's camera slipped from his hands and fell down onto the track. It got stuck right at the edge of the lower track, where the coaster train was about to pass. As the train crossed that spot, a part of it hit the camera. And then disaster struck. With a violent jolt, the coaster track snapped, and the front train, along with all the passengers, crashed down. It was over in an instant. Now it was Wendy's train's turn. Compared to the first crash, their coaster wheel had already come loose, but the train wasn't stopping. Everyone inside was terrified. Suddenly, Lewis's seatbelt popped open and he started dangling off the ride, then fell straight down. The train finally stopped, but in a position where only death could be seen ahead. It was hanging upside down from the track, and the remaining people were holding on, swinging in the air, screaming for help. Slowly, their hands got tired, their grip started slipping, and one by one, they all fell. Wendy was the last to fall. But right then, Wendy snapped awake. It was all a premonition. Everything she saw in her vision was now happening for real, and she freaked out. The operators were just about to press the start button when she started screaming, "The coaster track's gonna break! We're all gonna die! Get me off this ride!" Her shouting caused panic all around. Right away, her seatbelt was unlocked. Right then, Lewis snapped at Wendy. That led to a fight between him and Kevin. Things got tense, and the people in the back cars started getting off the ride. Jason also begged the operator to unlock his seatbelt, but no one listened to him, and the roller coaster was started. Wendy was so freaked out, she didn't even think about Jason. And in just a few moments, the very thing she feared happened. A brutal accident, and Jason and Carrie died on the spot. The crash shook Wendy to the core. She was so mentally drained that she didn't even want to finish her graduation anymore. She was ready to drop out. That's when Kevin stopped her and told her something similar had happened before. A few years ago, some kids were flying to Paris for a school trip. One of the guys suddenly had a vision of the plane crashing. He freaked out, warned everyone, and in the end, 7 kids got off the flight. And right after that, the plane actually crashed. Everyone else died. Kevin continued. Those 7 who survived, they started dying one by one in weird and brutal accidents, just like the guy had seen in his vision. Maybe the same thing is starting with us, since you had a vision too. But Wendy thought all of that was total nonsense. At home, she was going through her pictures from the fair, and suddenly Kevin's words hit her. What if all that plane crash stuff from Flight 180 was real? All of a sudden, she started feeling like something bad was about to happen again. Meanwhile, Stacy and Ashley had gone together to a tanning salon. The salon was owned by Yuri, someone Stacy and Ashley knew. Lately, Yuri had been fighting with his girlfriend about cheating. On the phone, he was trying to calm her down, telling her he didn't do anything wrong and that he wasn't cheating. While all this was going on, Stacy and Ashley asked for permission to use the tanning beds. While giving them permission, Yuri clearly told them not to take any drinks into the tanning room, but Stacy didn't listen. The mobile signal in the tanning rooms was super weak because of the beds, so whenever Yuri needed to make a phone call, he'd stick something under the back door to keep it from locking and then go outside to talk. Today, he did the same thing. There was no other staff at the salon that day, so Stacy and Ashley could do whatever they wanted. While chatting, Ashley slightly turned up the heat on her tanning bed, and Stacy placed her cold drink on the table, right above an electric panel. There was a warning on that panel saying it should never be set above 250 volts AC. Then she reached up to grab some CDs from the shelf to play music. While pulling out a CD, one of the shelf screws came loose, and that tiny mistake was about to cause a big mess. Meanwhile, the cream tube wedged under the door got squeezed, the cap popped off, and all the cream leaked out. Because of that, the door slowly shut by itself and locked. By then, Stacy and Ashley had already gotten into the tanning beds. At first, everything seemed normal, but after a bit, the cold drink started dripping down and reached the electric panel below. As soon as the liquid touched it, the voltage began to spike, crossing 300 in seconds. Stacy and Ashley started feeling the heat rising inside. On the other side, Wendy suddenly began connecting the dots. Looking at their photo, she felt like Stacy and Ashley might be in danger from a tree. She quickly tried calling them, but their phone was in the clothes they had taken off before tanning. Just then, a gust of wind knocked down a hanger, which hit a fake tree nearby. That fake tree then fell into the shelf, knocking it over, and it landed between the doors of the tanning beds. The temperature inside kept rising. Stacy and Ashley tried to get out, but the fallen shelf blocked the doors, trapping them inside. Meanwhile, Yuri heard them screaming and rushed to the door, but it had already locked shut. The front entrance was locked from the inside too. Within seconds, the tanning beds caught fire. Stacy and Ashley were burned alive. It was now clear that just like the survivors of Flight 180 started dying one by one, the same pattern had started here. The only difference was, this time, the signs of death were showing up in the photos Wendy had taken. Like Stacy and Ashley's photo that night was clicked next to the fake tree, and that same fake tree ended up playing a key role in their accident. According to Wendy's vision, Frankie was next. Suddenly, Wendy started feeling dizzy. She hadn't eaten in a while. Kevin quickly took her out to grab something to eat. On the way, they were looking at Frankie's photo, trying to find some clue about his death. During this, Kevin got distracted from driving for a moment, and a truck driver, who was working beside his parked truck, barely escaped getting hit by Kevin's car. Just a little ahead was a roadside food shop. They parked there and kept looking for hints in Frankie's photo. In the pic, it looked like Frankie was falling down some stairs, or maybe it resembled one of those warning signs on the back of a trailer truck. That's when Wendy started getting more signs of something bad. While they were lost in these thoughts, another car pulled up right behind them. There was already a car parked in front, and at the same time, a truck came from the right side and blocked their exit. Basically, they were trapped from all sides. Just then, the same truck, whose driver had narrowly escaped earlier, started rolling downhill with no one inside. As soon as Kevin saw it, he yelled at the guy in the car ahead to move forward, but that dude was totally zoned out. There was no way out from behind either, so Kevin smashed the windshield of his own car and got out just in time. But the very next second, the truck crashed into their car, and the guy in the front car died on the spot. That's when they saw the locket and realized that guy was actually Frankie. After Frankie, the next one was Lewis, the same guy whose seatbelt wasn't working and who had died in Wendy's vision. Looking at his photo, it looked like some kind of heavy hammer was falling on his head. The next day, they went to meet Lewis at the gym and told him everything that had happened, but Lewis didn't really care much about it. That's when Wendy noticed two swords hanging on the gym wall, exactly like the ones in Lewis's photo. They were trying to warn him when a guy started working out on the weight machine placed right under those swords. During his workout, one part of the machine accidentally hit the wall, bumping into the swords. After he finished, Lewis came to work out on the same machine. That's when Wendy started sensing something again. There was a big statue of a real bear in the gym too, and one of its sharp claws broke off when it got hit by a guy's dumbbell. The claw flew straight and hit another guy lifting weights, messing up his balance, and he fell to the floor along with the heavy weights. That fall shook the wall, and one of the swords dropped right on the cable of Lewis's workout machine, cutting it. Lewis thought the danger had passed, but as soon as he started working out again, his head got crushed. If this kept going, it wouldn't be long before Wendy and Kevin got caught in death's grip too. Before that happened, they had to find a way to break the chain. After Frankie and Lewis, next in line was either Perry or her boyfriend Aaron. Both of them worked at a hardware store where pigeons had made their life miserable. They made the mess, and Aaron had to clean it up. Fed up, Aaron loaded a nail gun and jokingly aimed it at the pigeons. Just then, Wendy and Kevin showed up to meet them. They told them everything that had happened so far and showed them the photo taken at the fair, where Perry and Aaron were trying to hide their faces from the camera. But Wendy still hadn't figured out what clue was hidden in that picture. While talking, Perry and Aaron kept working around the store. Suddenly, Aaron dropped some nails and Perry picked them up using a magnet, then placed the magnet back on a rack. That's when a small mistake happened. The iron rod attached to the magnet hit a chain hanging above. As it hit the chain, one end of it got caught in the key ring of a lift cart nearby, and the cart suddenly started moving. Slowly, it rolled forward and crashed into some oil cans placed ahead. Meanwhile, Aaron was cutting plywood and didn't hear a thing. While chatting, a thought popped into his head. He said, "What if the last person on death's list just kills themselves? Maybe that breaks the chain and saves the rest." Truth is, Aaron knew Wendy was the last one on that list, so he was just teasing her and having fun. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind blew through, and items from the top of the rack started falling down. A heavy sheet of plywood dropped right on Aaron, pinning him to the ground. On the other side, Perry lost her balance and slammed into the nail gun. The trigger went off, and nail after nail shot straight through her face. It all happened so fast, no one could do anything. Perry died on the spot. The cops had no idea what Wendy and Kevin were talking about. In fact, they started suspecting both of them instead. As for Aaron, if they somehow saved him and delayed his death, then he'd be the last to die on the list. If that's true, then the next ones should be the two people who were sitting right behind Perry and Aaron on the roller coaster. But the problem was, the photo didn't clearly show who those two were. Trying to figure all this out, Wendy eventually fell asleep. After she dozed off, her little sister Julie quietly took her bracelet and went out, something she did all the time. A while later, when Wendy woke up, she looked closely at the photo and saw her bracelet on someone else's wrist. That meant the girl in the pic was her sister, and maybe she was next. Panicking, Wendy immediately tried calling Julie, but her phone was switched off. She then called Kevin and told him everything. It was the 300th anniversary of McKinley that day, and to celebrate it, the college was throwing a big event. Wendy figured Julie had probably gone there with her friends. Kevin was already there on security duty. On the phone, he asked Wendy if she had spotted any clues in the photo yet, but Wendy was still confused. She couldn't make sense of her own photo or Kevin's. In Kevin's photo, it just looked like there was a bright flash in front of his face, like a camera flash or maybe fireworks going off. And coincidentally, there actually were fireworks being set up at the event. As for Wendy, Jason's face looked completely blurred in her picture, and she was wearing a t-shirt that said McKinley. Maybe that was her clue. After the call, Kevin started looking around for Julie. Meanwhile, Wendy also jumped in her car and headed toward the event. But on the way, she started getting strange signs, like something bad was about to happen. Over by the cannon and shells, two guys were standing with a fuse stick used to light fireworks. As soon as the fireworks were announced, they stuck the fuse stick up against the cannon and walked away. Within moments, the stick slid down and hit one of the cannonballs, which rolled and struck a wooden beam that was holding the fireworks cart in balance. By that time, Wendy had also reached the scene. Meanwhile, after searching around, Kevin finally found Julie, but she didn't even want to listen to him. Just then, the fireworks started, and everyone's attention shifted toward the sky. Taking advantage of the moment, a couple of kids lit a firecracker and tossed it under a horse. The blast freaked the horse out. It broke loose and started running wild, triggering panic in the crowd. That's when Wendy figured out the clue from Julie's photo, the horse in the background. That must be the danger. The horse charged toward Julie. Its rope got tangled around her neck and started dragging her. Kevin ran after her, and just in time, cut the rope, and saved her life. Right after that, Wendy asked Kevin about the roller coaster ride because the girl who sat with her that day was next. That girl was also there with Julie. Just then, another horse freaked out from the firework noise. Its reins were tied to a flagpole. As it ran, the flag yanked hard, and the pole flew straight like a spear, piercing right through Julie's friend. Now it was Kevin's turn. One of the horses kicked him hard, sending him crashing onto the food table. A metal skewer flew from the kebabs and stabbed right into the gas pipe connected to the cylinder. In the next second, flames shot up. Luckily, before the fire could spread, Wendy jumped in and shoved Kevin out of the way, saving his life. After that, the three of them quickly took off and headed home. But just then, Aaron showed up. Seeing him, Wendy froze, because Aaron's full name was Aaron McKinley, which meant, based on that clue, McKinley was the danger. Aaron grinned and said, "So now I'm the threat? Why don't you just end it all and stop this death chain yourself?" Right then, that same cart that had been off balance from the cannonball started rolling and tipped over, launching all the fireworks toward a crane behind Aaron. Everyone stood still for a moment, but nothing happened to Aaron. He laughed out loud and said, "I'm invincible. I beat death. Nothing can kill me." And right at that second, a huge piece of the crane snapped off and came crashing down on him. Just like that, Aaron was silenced forever. 5 months later, we see Wendy traveling on a train with her friends. That's when Wendy started getting signs again. Outside the train window, she saw a blurry face, just like Jason's in that carnival photo. But Wendy still couldn't figure out what Death's next move was. Just then, she saw the number 180 written somewhere. It instantly reminded her of Flight 180, the same plane crash that killed over 250 people. Maybe something like that was about to happen with this train. Wendy looked around, hoping for more clues. That's when she noticed a line right above her. "There's no escaping death and taxes." Wendy panicked. She decided to get off at the next station, even if it wasn't their stop. When her friends asked why, Wendy just said, "Let's get off one station early. We'll walk the rest of the way." As soon as the train pulled into the next stop, Julie stepped onto the train through the very door Wendy was about to exit. Their eyes met, and Wendy sat back down. They started talking. Wendy nervously said, "This feels just like that night at the carnival." Julie replied, "Oh, come on, that all ended with Aaron's death. It's been 5 months now. There's nothing to worry about. Besides, if death comes, it'll take me and Kevin first. You're last on the list." For a second, Wendy felt like maybe she was just overthinking it. Pushing her fear aside, she took Julie to meet her other friends. That's when she spotted Kevin sitting in the corner. It was now clear. Death had brought all three of them back together on this train. Just then, an electrical panel shorted out, the one that controls the track switch. The track suddenly shifted and the train derailed. A brutal crash followed, killing Julie first, then Kevin. Somehow, Wendy survived, but her leg was badly crushed. She was sitting helpless in the middle of the tracks, waiting for help, when suddenly another train came from behind and ran right over her. But it was just a premonition. In reality, before they could even get off the train, that exact crash happened for real, and all three died in the same exact order.